What's going on, people? So, if you're watching this, chances are you're either like a DM or a really curious viewer or like a player that's looking to become a DM. So, if this applies to you, keep watching. If it doesn't, you can keep watching if you want, but it's not really going to matter in the long run. So, this is going to be the first episode of hopefully, I'm going to try uh, of a series that I'm gonna call DMing with Dave. So the first step when it comes to DMing would obviously be getting started, right? Yeah, it would be getting started. Getting started with making your fucking world with all these bosses and these trails and these towns and abandoned cities and shit like that and a bunch of stuff for your friends. Not necessarily is that the case. Normally, getting started, you would want. Okay, how do I want my players to feel about this game? Do I want this to be an intense game? Do I want it to be like a D&D D&D? Do I want it to be, action packed and full of stuff and or do I want it to be scary or what have you? So, if you're getting started with that, you got to think about what your players are like, right? Not necessarily. Players normally will adapt to your game as long as they seem to enjoy it. If they don't, that's completely normal. That's going to happen. There's going to be somebody who just doesn't like your game. That's fine. Just let them go do off whatever they want. Okay, so you got your games, you got your mood ready for the game, right? And this is going to carry through all of the sessions, whether it be a fixed game or a very flexible one. Okay, the next thing you want to do is build up your setting. Where are we going to start off? You wake up in a tavern, or you appear mysteriously after falling asleep last night in this cold, sweaty, almost chill after feeling sick for about a week. That's kind of what I mean, right? Your setting. Typically, it's good to put your players in a spot that's familiar to them. A sense of familiarity is a sense of security. So you wake up in this town, in your own room. Next to you is your lamp. The feeling of something isn't quite right, or the feeling of something is going to happen today, something positive. That there, even though you're not giving your player an absolute shit ton to work with, you're not giving your player like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna go and talk to this guy down the street because they don't know anybody. You are giving your player this sense of, okay, so I can imagine myself in my own house and, I can go outside. I'm gonna go check out. You know what? I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go for a walk, and I'm gonna go do stuff. Right? See, going on a walk, you can do so much. You can go explore. You can go find a freaking cave. You can go to the Adventurers Guild. You could go down to the city and go to the flea market, and Indian store, and shit like that. We have Indian stores in Florida, so right. The setting. That's the second part that you want to have. You don't want to worry about your players just yet. You want to worry about your setting. Where's everybody at? What's going on in the story? So you have where everybody's starting. You have where everything's going to be taking place. For your third part, what you'll need is you are going to want the story. That there, the story is flexible because with my game, We Are Us, I of course I've been working on this game for about a year and like a few months now, but you might not have the experience when it comes to free flowing D&D game that I do, because I've been doing this for literally years. Ever since I was a kid, I would always like role play with my cousin and stuff like that. And we would always pretend that we had powers and shit going around. Pew, pew, pew. But let's give your story like a basic template, okay? There's a giant sandworm terrorizing the city of Norkita or whatever. And you have to go in and stop him. But to do that, you need to get loot, you need to get armor, you need to work with your fucking friends, you need to go find some weapons and some destructive powers or whatever. You need to go harness magic and spell casting. You need to get your cantrips all ready and shit like that. That's a good story. That's a good story because it has a clear goal. It has something for you players to focus on, and it gives you this sort of area that you can focus on now. Okay, so there's the worm, the giant sandworm, right? Now I can focus on the desert. All right, the giant sandworm, boom, they defeated it. They're in the fucking hospital now, and all of a sudden this mysterious figure walks in and he says, "All right, good job, kids. Now I need you to go to the forest." Blah, 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 right? It's a terrible, terrible comparison to make, but it's a thing that you could do. It is absolutely an option because it expands on your story, unless you want to end it at the defeat of the sandworm. Me, I don't think I would start with. I don't think I would end it with a sandworm. I think I would probably drop some hints in between, like walking into the cave, you see an inscription of the sandworm fighting other giants. Some of them being left for dead and others being left alive. These giants coming for revenge or something like that, right? It opens it up to more future story. But okay, so we got your theme, or your mood, sorry, your setting, and your story. Now, we need your characters. This is obviously, we need your character limits. Your character's limits, there we go. This is obviously something difficult to do, but this is all advice for DMs that are looking to make games similar to mine, and let them move slowly. Of course, this is episode 1. You're not going to do all of that with a single episode. But you are looking to limit your characters into not being automatically super stupid fucking powerful, but you still want them to enjoy the game. Alright, so you got this player coming in, right? You got this guy, and he wants to become like a nuclear bomb. You know what? He can use spell casting that can reach 500,000 miles. And you're like, okay. You know what? We'll start off with you like this. And eventually, over time, you'll be able to build up into that. Now, obviously, that level of progression, going from casting glintstone pebble all the way up to casting nuclear holocaust, that would be months or years possibly worth of progression. And even then, you might not get to it because, you know, shit happens and whatnot. But that's a goal for a player, and that's something good. But you do not want Maybe you do, and if you do, that's fine. Um, to make a game like mine, to make it free flowing and enjoyable to play and long lasting, you will need to absolutely limit your players to practically nothing. So when they get stronger, when they build up their characters, they become so entertained by it that they're going to be itching for the next session. They're going to be coming into the chat ready to fucking play your game. They were like, okay, you know what? I may not have liked it as much as I did, but this session, we beat that sandworm. We destroyed that fucking sandworm. We may have gotten hurt, but together we worked through it. Let's do this. Let's go for the rest of those giants, right? And that's something that you want to look for in your players. You want to inspire them, to motivate them to want to play your next session or want to participate in your next campaign. Obviously, like I said, this is all stuff that I've built up over years. Years of hosting and role playing and just figuring out what it is that like tells at least a little bit of a compelling story. Right now, the time that you're seeing this, I will have probably episode 31 uploaded, but I host so many sessions that I'm actually at episode 93. That is the level of enjoyment that my players get out of my game. And if you want that, uh, give your players something to be entertained by. Do not make them overpowered at the start. That is a mistake that I see quite a few DMs make. And it's a mistake that seems really fucking cool at the start. But when everything starts to calm down and roleplay starts happening and players start getting into their characters' emotions, they don't know how to invest in the roleplay. Mostly because they've been so focused on, combat or like getting stronger or defeating that sandworm that they got lost in the power. All right. So you got your four things. You got mood, you got setting, you got your story, and you got your character limits. Now everything's starting to come together. So you got your actual character limits, right? You don't got freaking, I want to be a gigantic dragon who has god powers and divine energy. No. No, you got little lizard person who can work up to evolve to a dragon. Right? That's what you got so far. So we have these four things, right? Let's see, mood. You know what? Here, I'll write them down. So, okay. All right, let's see. Whoops. The next thing that you're going to want is hosting consistency / player consistency. So, the thing about this is it's a very sneaky killer. When you do something for a long time, consistently, and you keep doing it, your body, your brain is going to get used to doing that thing. And when you don't do it, it's not going to feel quite right. But when you do it, it's not going to be draining. At first, you should probably DM like once a week. Or once every once every so often. You don't want to DM every single day. Because if you do that, the level at which you are able to DM is going to slowly decrease over time. You ain't going to notice it at first. You aren't going to notice at first, but it's going to happen. The quality of your game's going to drop. You're going to start rushing things. You're going to start rushing things. You're going to... It's just not going to be fun for you or the players involved in your game. So, host like once a week. And then once you get comfortable doing that, all your players are like, you know what? I fucking love this game, man. Dude, this is a lot of fun. When's the next time you're going to host? That's a question that catches a lot of people. Because, oh, my players are wanting to play, and I have the energy to DM. I can host, right? Yes, you can. It's your life, obviously. But you shouldn't. So no, you can't host. No, you can't. Why? Because when you do, what do? What are you going to say next? Did you go to work and think about what you're going to host next? What you're going to DM? The time in between those sessions should be for consideration of what you're going to do for your game next. What's the next big thing that's going to happen? How can I naturally squeeze this into the game? How can I naturally put it in so it's not like, oh, blip, you just teleported somewhere else. Oh, you're somewhere in a forest, in a field. And that's what I did to my players for the first few, for my first 2 seasons of Us. 2 seasons of my game, which is it's well over 100 episodes. So now, when I notice my game starting to slip a little bit, it's starting to drop in quality, I take a break. I stop posting until I can have those spaces in between let me recharge. Because in between those spaces, you are not only recharging your mental energy, you're recharging your physical energy, you're recharging from things that you want to do, and you're allowing your brain to think, okay, you know what? I hosted. We did a good job. They enjoyed the session last time. What can we do again that will make them enjoy it even more the next time? That's player and DM consistency. On the other hand, you have player consistency, which is for the player needing to join on a certain basis in time to keep their stories and their interest in the game constant. Because once you have a player that enjoys it once, that's not good enough. They need to rejoin for the next session that you host. And then they can rejoin for the session after the next session that you host. Until you can build up a strong enough foundation between you and your player, as DM to player, you need to make sure that you keep your players in that chat. You keep your players in that game, because otherwise you're going to lose a player. I have lost well over 12 players because the player consistency on their side wasn't up to what they needed. And obviously, I'm not saying what they need. I'm not trying to say what they need. I'm just saying what I observed that they would need in order to keep it consistent. It was just under what I assumed they needed. Maybe I'm not explaining myself correctly. So we have these 5 things that you want to put into your game and make sure that it runs almost effortlessly. I hope that you enjoyed that. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share your thoughts and whatnot. Share this with your friends who are wanting to be DMs or wanting to, share this with their DMs. Share this with your DMs if you like. Spread this word. And I hope that you have a great day. See ya.